To order of the 2021 Reapportionment Commission. My name is Glenn Tagashi. I'm the city clerk. I'll be kind of your acting chair until such time that you elect the chair amongst yourselves. Just noting that all commissioners here are present, including Commissioner Cavito, who is joining us by video conference. As we start, I have some procedural announcements, so please bear with me because I got to read through this. Pursuant to the 21st proclamation issued by Governor David Ige on June 7th, 2021, relating to the COVID-19 pandemic, in order to allow public participation in a manner consistent with social distancing practices, the following procedures are in effect for this meeting. Members of the public will not be allowed into the meeting room, but may participate by interactive technology from remote locations. The city uses WebEx as their video conferencing platform. And for those of you who may not be familiar, the login information is always noted on the agenda of the meeting. Remote testimony will be accepted on all items on the agenda, including any executive session items, if any. Each speaker right now is limited to a 1-minute presentation. However, we will be a bit liberal on that, and as a matter of business for you guys to take up, that is extending that amount of time or setting a limit is something that you could take up later when you adopt your rules. The following are some friendly tips and reminders. As an attendee of the meeting by video conference, you are initially set with view-only privileges. The staff will bring you into the meeting at the time you are called to testify. So you may not have the ability to control your mute button or your video until such time that you're brought into the meeting. Please try to video conference from a quiet location if possible. And after your 1 minute has expired, please conclude your remarks promptly. Again, we'll be liberal. We're trying to manage time limits until such time that the commission sets its own limits for testifiers. For those of you who may be joining by telephone, I don't have your name, so I will have to identify you by the prefix of your telephone number. Once all the remote testifiers have concluded, I will close remote testimony. Please be aware that all testimony, including any information you put down, such as address, email, phone number on your testimony, will be available as public documents on the city's Reapportionment Commission website, which the staff will talk about a little bit later. As a courtesy, if you could all turn off your cell phones for the duration of the meeting. Thank you. Again, I note that we do have the presence of a quorum with all members in attendance and Commissioner Cavito coming in by video conference. As the, I guess, acting or interim chair, I will be taking up agendas 1 through 5 and then hand the gavel over to the chairperson if you should happen to select one at this meeting. Starting off this meeting, we will have some opening remarks by Council Chair Waters, who is here with us, and then by Floor Leader Andrea Tupola, who is joining us by WebEx. So, Chair Waters, you have the floor.
Aloha, Commissioners. On behalf of myself, Vice Chair Kia Aina, and Floor Leader Tupola, who is going to be joining us in a few minutes, I'd like to just say thank you. Thank you, folks, for your willingness to serve. This is not an easy problem that you folks have, and I wouldn't even call it a problem. It's a task that you folks have. And I just want to wish you luck in your duties. It's an important duty that you have. In fact, it has a lasting impact. The next time we're going to convene a commission again is 10 years from now. So the decisions that you make will last for 10 years. I just want to encourage you to keep in mind, and we're reminded because of the pandemic how important our community is, how important equity is, and fairness. So good luck to you all. I know it's hard work, but we really, really appreciate the good and hard work that you do. Okay, so aloha to you all, and thank you. And I want to turn the floor over to Floor Leader Tupola.
Councilmember Tupola, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Clerk. Aloha and good evening, Commission members. Chair Waters and myself are so grateful that all of you would commit this time to doing such an important work. As the chair of the Committee on Executive Matter and Legal Affairs, I was responsible for the establishment of this Reapportionment Commission, and I was privileged and shared the honor and responsibility of doing so. As a music teacher, advocate, community member, policymaker, I've spent a large majority of my life listening to people's voices. The formation of this committee definitely resonates with me and reflects meaningful parts of my life and my career. And this decennial census and what Chair Waters just shared with you, meaning every 10 years, the establishment of this decade's reapportionment committee represents the time-honored tradition set forth by many people who established our nation, our state, and our council governments. And as he alluded to, the purpose of this commission is to provide equal redistribution of political representation, power, and money, meaning that the decisions you guys are making here today is supposed to bring forth the most fair and equitable path forward for us in this upcoming election. So we are entrusting you as community members to make sure that every voice counts and that every person and every community is heard throughout the county of Honolulu. So I wanted to thank you for your commitment, your time, and also share that we are here to support. We are very grateful that we have our clerk there with you to lead and guide you. But this also gives you the opportunity to step up and be a leader in your own community as you just make decisions that will affect the upcoming election, affect the upcoming distribution of money, the upcoming distribution of CIP grants. Everything we do in the city is based upon the lines and the organizations of each of the county districts. So thank you again for your time, and I can't wait to see all the good work that you do and conclude with an awesome upcoming election next year and possibly even some new things for each of our communities. Thank you so much, Clerk.
Thank you, Floor Leader, and Chair for the remarks. All right, moving on to the next agenda item are some administrative matters and announcements. We'd like to take this time to introduce the your legal support team coming from the Department of Corporation Counsel and the technical staff from the Office of the City Clerk. I'd like to turn over real quickly to Deputy Corporation Counsel Dwayne Pang, if he might introduce his team.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Dwayne Pang, Deputy Corporation Counsel. As the chair indicated, it's a very important task that you have, and so we've gotten together a group of qualified legal assistants and attorneys to help you. And I'd like to introduce all of them to you. For my far right is, sorry, she's not here, but from my far right is Justin Lunny, Haley Chi, and Erica Osterkamp. We are here to answer most of or any of your legal questions, and you can always contact Mr. Takahashi, and he will forward any questions that you may have to our office, and we'll try to get back right back to you as soon as we can. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Pang. We'd also like to introduce some of the technical support staff from the Office of the City Clerk. The staff actually comes from the Elections Division. To my left, your right, is Rex Quidilla, the administrator. He is over 20-year veteran of elections, has been through redistricting at the state level, so he's very familiar with redistricting as well. We also have Assistant Administrator Michael Sunouchi. He's actually back there on the soundboard. Can't see him. You have Amanda Brockway. It's Amanda. Okay, and Doris Lam, an election specialist who is also assisting with meeting support. And also with Doris over there is Kiana Pascual. She is helping with the video conference today. Just as a thing to note, in your binder are some meeting materials that have been distributed to you. If you have any questions concerning the binder materials, please see our support staff. Some of these things are actually also available online. The staff has already set up a website, and from that main website for the Reapportionment Commission, you can actually see some of the work of the 2011 and the 2001 Commission as well. So that's all available for yourselves and the public. Okay, moving on. The next item is taking oral testimony by video conference, and according to my list, we have one person signed up to testify. Okay, staff is indicating to me that the person did not log in, so I think given that, we will now close remote testimony. Let's see. That being done, we will now proceed to agenda item number 5, which is the selection of the commission chairperson. So pursuant to the city charter, the commission, one of its duties is to select a chairperson from among its members. And so that's one of the tasks that you may choose to do or not do today. I'd like to recognize Commissioner Hasiberta. I think you had a remark to make.
Yes, I had a question.
Yes.
I was just wondering, since this is the first time we're all kind of meeting each other, would it be appropriate if we had a little recess to kind of talk amongst ourselves to see who wants to be chair?
Dwayne, I don't know if that's a open meetings question or not. Probably defer that to you.
I didn't hear the question. You don't have to select the chair today. In fact, you can discuss it outside of the meeting because it's not board business, it's administrative things. So you guys can discuss it amongst yourselves. So you don't really have to do it today. You can defer it to the next committee. It's strictly up to you, but Mr. Takahashi indicated that that's one of your first tasks. And the chair does run the meetings as Mr. Takahashi is doing, and prepares the agenda and you know, takes the votes and everything. But you don't have to do it today. So strictly up to you.
So, if that's the will of the body, we can take a recess for about 5 or 10 minutes. If you'd like to just kind of get acquainted with each other. See any nods or? Okay, we'll take a brief recess, reconvene at 6:25. Okay, reconvening the meeting of the Reapportionment Commission. In light of that, is there a motion to proceed with the selection of the chair?
Chair Takahashi, I nominate James Duke Iona.
Okay, first, I guess, can we just, can we have a motion to move with the selection of a chair?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I move.
So, okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Any objections or reservations? Okay, we'll move forward with selecting a chair. The floor is now open for a nomination of a chairperson. Did you want to?
I nominate, yes, sir. Chair Takahashi, I nominate James Duke Iona
Okay.
to lead us.
Okay, are there any other nominations from the floor?
Do you need a second?
Okay. Okay, seeing no further nominations, the nominations are closed. Are there any objections, or all those in favor, I should say? You can raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, by acclamation, Lieutenant Governor, Commissioner Iona is now selected the chair, and I gladly hand over the gavel to yourself. We'll call a short recess while we kind of transition over for Commissioner Iona to take over.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, recall the meeting back to order, the meeting of the Reapportionment Commission for 2021. The next order of business is the selection of a commission vice chairperson. Like the chairperson, the floor is open to any nominees or first of all, will you approve a motion to nominate a vice chair? Can I hear a motion for that?
I move.
So noted. Second, anybody?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we open it to nominees. So, Commissioner, Burdick.
Chair, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Chase Shigemasa for vice chair.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other nominees? There being none, all in favor? Oh, do I hear a second? Thank you.
I second.
Okay, that's, okay. So now we take a vote for the vice chair, Chase Shigimasa. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Unanimous. Thank you very much. That was smooth. So Chase, congratulations.
Congratulations, Chair.
Okay, so the next order of business on the agenda as listed is the orientation briefing, and I believe the Department of Corporation Counsel will be giving us a briefing on exactly what we wanted, a briefing on the Sunshine Law. I'm serious about that. We all want to get as educated as we can on that, so if you don't mind,
Sure.
go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I will, and I apologize if I call you Your Honor because of the old days. But we're going over a little bit of the charter requirements for the Reapportionment Commission, and then, of course, we get into the state law, the Sunshine Law. We're going to be covering, as I mentioned, your authority under the charter, which is Charter Section 3-103, and then we'll go into the Sunshine Law, the Open Meeting Law of the State of Hawaii, Chapter 92, Hawaii Revised Statute. Hawaii Revised Charter 3-103. This is your authority. And one of the most important things is you have to come up with a reapportion plan before January 2nd, 2022. The commission acts as a majority, so everything you do must be, must have a quorum, which is 5, and then you have to vote 5 majority. You are not eligible to run for city council in the next election. The following election is no problem. Commission members are not officers of the city, county of Honolulu, which means that you are not subject to most of the charter requirements, and that includes disclosure of conflict of interest, fair and equal treatment, filing financial disclosures. So you're not obligated to do that. But as the chair had mentioned, you are obligated to review and the data and prepare a reapportionment plan in a fair and equitable manner. So we prepared some kind of a statement, so that shows that you are acting in a fair and equitable manner. And if you, and this is right out, this is taken right out of our city standard of conduct from our charter. So if you agree with this, we would suggest that you adopt this by resolution, that this is your fair and equal statement, and you would abide by this. And although you guys are not obligated to abide by the standard of conduct or conflict of interest, if you have any concerns or questions, please feel free to ask our office, and we will provide as much guidance as we can. We're moving on to the state's Sunshine Law. Again, it's the open meeting law or the open government law. And these are the topics that we're going to be covering under the Sunshine Law. The intent of this law is that all government decisions, all government actions should be done as openly as possible. So that's the bottom line. Every action that you do should be open as possible. And the reason that you are covered by this is, of course, you are a board created by our statute or the charter. You guys have a specific obligation to make a recommendation And by that definition, you guys are a board covered by the Sunshine Law. Open meetings. What are open meetings? What is an open meeting? All board business must be done in an open meeting, which requires an agenda posted 6 days prior to any meeting. The agenda must include subject matters that you are going to cover, and the subject matters must describe sufficiently so that members of the public are aware of what you're going to discuss. And most of those things will be done via the clerk's office with, of course, guidance by the chair and the vice chair on the subject matters of the agendas. So the general rule is that any board business must be done in a scheduled meeting. So there are very strict prohibitions. Board members cannot discuss board business outside of a scheduled meeting. So we encourage you not to email each other about board business, not to discuss the matters of board business. I mean, there are exceptions, and we'll discuss the exceptions a little bit later on. But that's the general gist of the Sunshine Law. You guys can create subcommittees, but those subcommittees are also subject to the Sunshine Law, meaning meeting agenda 6 days in advance, notice and everything like that. So those subcommittees, if you choose, can be required to be open to the public. Under the current governor's emergency proclamation, board members can attend electronically. But once the governor's proclamation ends or is rescinded, we go back to the old law, which means that video conferencing, meaning you can't attend a meeting by video unless the location where you're attending it is open to the public. It's under the governor's proclamation. He encourages remote testimony because people can't attend physically. But when that is gone, the Sunshine Law is pretty much silent on it. So that would be up to the commission whether you would invite people to attend physically or continue with electronic remote testimony. And you can do both. But that would be up to you. There's no requirement. There's no prohibition. That would be strictly up to you with the help of the clerk's office. Going back to the requirement of the agenda. Now, once the agenda is posted 6 days prior to the meeting, it almost never, ever can be amended. So you can't add a subject matter just before the meeting. You can't add a subject matter 5 days before the meeting. Unfortunately, you just have to wait to the next meeting. Because your responsibilities are so important, it's unlikely that you will fit under the very, very narrow exception of amending your agenda. It can happen, but like I said, your responsibilities are so important and it affects too much of the public to pretty much fit in that exception. Okay, I think I covered most of it. How does the public participate? Again, agenda, remote testimony, whatever you want. We anticipate the governor's proclamation being ended soon, so maybe you'll have public testimony physically in the near future. There are very limited exceptions to having the open meeting. And one of the exceptions was what you just did. It was not determining the officers is not technically board business. It's called administration. You can talk to a couple of you can talk to the city clerk to organize the next meeting, how it's going to be taking place and things like that. Those are not board business. One of the exceptions that you may use is to go into what's called an executive session by a majority vote of the commissioners who are present and go talk to your attorney on legal matters. That's probably the only exception that you guys are going to be able to use. But then again, you can always talk to your attorneys individually outside of the meeting if you have any questions. Again, I am conduct outside of the meeting. Of course, social events are not prohibited. And there is no prohibition for any one of you individually to talk to another government official, a member of the public. So during your responsibilities as a commissioner of the reapportionment, you may get phone calls from an elected official, from a member of the public. You may attend the neighborhood board to see what they want, individually, of course. So there's no prohibition on that. The Sunshine Law prohibits board business amongst board members to be done in closed session, but it does not prohibit a board member from speaking to anybody who is not a board member about board business. There are certain permitted interactions. So this is a little bit a complicated kind of thing. It's called a permitted interaction group, or PIG. And what that allows is it allows you, the commission, to appoint 2 or more members, less than a quorum, to go investigate something. And that group is not subject to the Sunshine Law. They can go out and investigate, talk to people, and then they have to come back, report to you, wait for the next meeting, and then you have to adopt whatever that permitted interaction group response. Yes?
Clarify, the last slide said negotiations and selections of officers. Can you clarify what negotiations means there?
Right there. Second bullet. There are certain other exceptions involving investigations, negotiations.
Yeah, that's the exception to create a permitted interaction group. And when I say when it says negotiations, some boards and commission actually do negotiations for contracts. I'm not sure if you guys would fall under that. You may fall under an investigation if you want to go investigate a particular allegation or about something. But I don't think you guys would fall under a particular negotiation.
Got it, thank you.
Okay, so we're kind of wrapping up, but just want to keep in mind that the intent is to keep government open. So try to keep that in mind. So we just to recap, you have to give the public notice, the agenda. That's not going to be done by the clerk's office. Date, time, place. And date, time, and place. And Glenn and I were talking earlier about having meetings at other locations, community places and things like that. And this goes back to the electronic meeting. You can actually have a meeting at two particular locations. For example, 3 members can be here, at City Hall, and the remaining 6 members can attend the meeting at Kapolei, so long as those 2 places are open to the public. So if you guys want to do that, work it out with Glenn and see what happens. But all of those things are up to the commission, how much you want to get out there in the public. And keep in mind, we have a very short window. Everything has to be done by January 2nd. And that's why we have a big team. We're ready to answer any of your questions. Violations of the Sunshine Law. Any action taken can be voided. We don't anticipate that, and we surely don't anticipate any willful violation of the Sunshine Law. Again, do you have any questions?
I apologize. I'm probably going to have a couple questions. My first question is, can you email me this PowerPoint? Can you email me this PowerPoint? I don't know if you want to give the chance for anybody else to ask a question. Okay, my second question is, how do we request agenda items? Do I make that request straight to the chair?
The general rule is that the matters that go on the agenda are dictated by the chair, and you can make the request to the chair. The chair will contact the clerk's office and put them on the agenda. So that's your organization right now. You've dictated to the chair. You've given the chair the responsibility to lay out what should be on the agenda. But that does not prohibit any commission member from asking the chair to put something on the agenda.
Sorry, I have another. So can we get contact information for the chair and/or our other fellow members? I know you said we can't really email each other as a group, but you said we can talk one-on-one as long as no commitment is made.
That's correct. I'm sure that the clerk's office will give contact information to all of you, and we'll give the clerk's office our contact information too.
Thank you. Sorry, I have one more. Sorry, this is my first experience with the Sunshine Law, so I have questions. Am I allowed to comment on social media posts about reapportionment? So, for example, I have a lot of friends who follow what we do here, and they might have questions about like what we're working on, whether we're gonna have meetings at both Vale. Am I allowed to comment on those posts and like let them know?
Yes, there's no prohibition of you communicating with any member of the public or any person who's not a board member. But I will caution you that because you are a board, the board has to act or speak as a body. So individually, you can't say the board's going to do this, the board's going to do that. It's got to be by the body, and it's got to be done at an open meeting by majority vote. So that's just a caution. But you're not prohibited by inviting everybody to come and testify. We're hoping, the city clerk's hoping that the notices that we get out to everybody. But I guess any help would be great.
Thank you. No further questions.
Anyone else? No, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
We'll be doing, we're gonna be working as a body, so it's good to have interaction like this. The next item on the agenda are the commission rules. And I believe, Rex, are you gonna present that? Great. If you had an opportunity to look at the previous year's work by the commission, you probably have a good idea of what it is. It's been pretty consistent. So anyway, but Rex, go right ahead.
Good evening, commission members. In your packets are the commission rules from 2001, and 2011. We have additional copies for you to take home if you wish to review them. And what we proposing is that you review the rules. You can email any additions or amendments you wish to make to the rules. We can propose that at our next meeting for discussion and a vote. The rules are also available online, so members of the public can view them. Should just note that these set of rules, while short, capably and ably shepherded those two commissions to complete their mission. And they're really focused towards the internal work of the commission. So again, you can email me any proposals you may have, and we'll hammer it together as a draft, and then you can discuss it at meeting 2 upcoming.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. By the way, Commissioner Hussey, the PowerPoint that was presented by Corp Counsel is in the packet, so you got everything for, So as suggested by Rex, I mean, if you haven't already reviewed it, review it, and whatever amendments you may or may not have, as you mentioned, email it to you, right? Okay,
Yes,
is that it?
that's it.
Okay,
For, I guess I get the second portion also.
go ahead.
The scheduling agenda for future meetings. I guess we're still in that stage, the primer stage. The commission staff is proposing that for the next meeting, that we consider putting on the agenda a briefing by Corporation Counsel on redistricting, legal issues and guidelines. Also, following in past precedents, we also had a briefing on redistricting technical operations. So essentially, a demonstration or showing you how we do redistricting using software. According to, we recommend these 2 briefings be scheduled for the next meeting so commissioners can be briefed on the legal aspects on redistricting and the software that we use, the drafting of redistricting plans. We also suggest at another meeting, briefing and discussion on population base, criteria used for drafting prior redistricting plans. This presentation on that, population base that we may consider using, guidelines and criteria for drafting proposed redistricting plans. In 2011, this particular briefing, this one I just mentioned, was, it occurred when we had data. And data is expected on August 11th, thereabouts. Census data in legacy form will be available on August 16th, and we anticipate we'll have the data in presentable form to the commission by the end of August. We recommend this particular briefing be scheduled at the end of August or early September. So next meeting, briefing by Corporation Counsel on redistricting legal issues and on redistricting technical operations. And when we have a presentation on population base guidelines and criteria for redistricting plans and criteria used in prior redistricting efforts. Again, we scheduled tonight's meeting in the hopes that we would get maximum participation, but it's really up to the commission at what time they would want to meet, if it's earlier, if it's later. We do have in your packets a calendar. Because we're using the council chambers, the days that we have committee meetings, council committee meetings, and council meetings are days we probably cannot hold a meeting here for the reapportionment meeting.
unless we use Kapalama Hale. Unless we use Kapalama Hale, like he was
You
talking.
mean Kapolei? Kapolei. Well, I'm just in reviewing for everybody's, if you guys probably all did it, but in reviewing the past commission work, they normally had, I think they averaged about 5 meetings in 2001 and 2011. And if I'm not mistaken, the first couple of meetings were scheduled every couple, or at least a couple of weeks after the first meeting. And then as we got the information on the population base, et cetera, it kind of stretched out because we have to have public hearings also. And if I'm not mistaken, in the past, they've had 3 public hearings. You're required to have 1 only, correct?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
But
Well-
they have 3. And again, we can discuss that. It's up to us. And they did it pretty uniformly. In other words, it was like a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday in the various areas that they did it in. So I think we're all ready to work on this. So I don't know what your schedules are like, but maybe we can discuss first the time. Is that okay if we discuss the time?
Yes.
6 o'clock. I don't know if that's good or bad for any of you. Of course, we're probably not gonna accommodate and please everybody, but was this a good time, a bad time? Would you like to move it up? Again, I looked at the minutes of the previous commissions, and some meetings were an hour and a half, some were an hour. I think they started in 2011, they started at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And again, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that's like peak hour of traffic. So, but depending where you're all coming from, right? It all depends where we're all coming from. So I'm open for discussion on time. 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Let's just do time first, and then of course we can do venue second. Any objections to keeping it at 6, or you want to move it up to 4?
Good with 6. 6 is good. It's after
6
our
is
regular
fine.
Mr. Chair, I'm good with 6.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay, how about you, Alan?
I'm good with 6, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Okay. How about the venue? It's okay?
Mr. Chair?
Okay.
I think past practice, did they meet at Kapolei Hale as a commission meeting, or is that just a public hearing?
The public hearings were held at various locations, but the meetings themselves were held here at Honolulu Hale.
Yeah, I don't think they had any meetings at Kapolei Hale. In fact, when they had the public meeting, it was at Kapolei High School, if I'm not mistaken. But
Right.
it was in Kapolei. I don't think it might have been at Kapolei Hale. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
Is this venue okay for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alan? Because you and I live the
Yes.
farthest, I think.
Yes, it's good for me. Thank you.
Okay. All I'm gonna tell you is leave early. Leave early. Okay. Okay, so we're good on the time, 6 o'clock. We're good on the venue, which is here at Honolulu Hale. And now we need to select dates. So as Rex mentioned, the data is not coming in till the end of August. So to get information on that, and as he mentioned, we will get briefed on the population base. And I would assume that along with that issue on the population, on the knowledge of the population base, we're going to talk about exemptions and the deviation that we can take. All of that will be discussed at that time, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So the next meeting will be, again, the adoption of the rules. There'll be one agenda item. And then the second agenda item will be the briefing on the redistricting matters regarding legal guidelines and technical operations. Okay,
That's correct, Chair.
and that would be the second item on the agenda. Is there any other items that we need to go over at that on the next meeting?
No, I did want to mention, however, Chair, that in addition, we have 6 opportunities to be broadcast on Olelo.
Oh, really?
Right. So that would be, those 6 opportunities would be decided by the commission. Generally speaking, you want to have those when we actually have data and maps
Yeah,
to show.
yeah.
And additionally, the commission staff has put together a website at honoluluelections.us/reapportionment. And at that location, we'll be posting agendas, minutes, and meeting materials.
Could you repeat that, please?
It's honoluluelections.us/reapportionment.
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes.
I would like to request an additional agenda item for public outreach plan.
Public outreach.
And maybe at that point, we can discuss the Sixololo broadcast.
Okay.
And
So this would be, you talking about how we can communicate with the public through the various platforms that we have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Any discussion on that? Anybody oppose? Everybody understand what Chair Hussey is suggesting?
Chair, I want to have a question.
Sure.
So, and actually the question is for Rex. Rex? Can you hear me? Rex, can you hear me? So my question to you is, at the second meeting and you're talking about technical operations, are you going to be describing outreach efforts as part which have been done in the past?
We were intending to, at that meeting, just basically discuss the software that we intend to use to conduct the redistricting.
Are you going to talk about past efforts to implement outreach to the public?
I'm not familiar of any specific outreach we can do. We can look into it. I'm not entirely sure what the past commissions did to get the word out about the activities. My understanding that most of it was conducted in the form of public meetings such as these, and that the public could participate. But based on what I've read and what I've consumed through the final reports, there was no special outreach effort to notify the public, with the exception, of course, of the public meetings that come at the end of this process.
I see.
Yeah, we can discuss that, I think, Commissioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one more request.
Yeah,
there.
go ahead.
Is it possible to add to future agendas, as a standing agenda item, a section for questions and miscellaneous discussion from commission members, like in case we think of anything that's not necessarily on the preset agenda?
That's so the question is, can you have an agenda item that basically says miscellaneous or follow-up questions or any, something like of that nature? Or does it, because you said it had to describe the subject matter, the agenda had to describe the subject matter, and it had to be pretty detailed. So that's the question.
Yeah, that's correct. The agenda item should be specific enough so the public knows what they can testify on. But that does not mean that you can have, that members of the public can come and say, hey, can you talk about this particular subject? But then you're going to have to put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
So that's the process. If somebody wants to bring up something at a meeting, you can't discuss it, but you can put it on the next agenda.
So I should explain that, so the impetus for me asking that question is because I wanted to bring up future meetings to talk about a public outreach plan, but I didn't know where in this meeting agenda to have it. Luckily, we had a space where we were talking about the schedule, so I could bring it up there.
Okay.
So not trying to surprise the
No,
public or
but do you
anything.
understand what
Yeah.
Mr. Pang is saying?
So he said we could do a question section, right? We just couldn't have
No, we couldn't put that as an agenda item.
Mhm.
But that doesn't preclude somebody coming up with a question about something that wasn't on the agenda,
Mhm.
but we have to take it up at the next. If it's such that it requires that kind of discussion, we're gonna have
Okay.
to put it on for the next meeting. So in other words, it has to be,
It's fair.
yeah, it has to be open so people can testify.
Right.
Yeah, and that's part of the intent of the Sunshine Law. Right? Thank you. Okay, so my understanding is we, for our agenda items, we have the briefing of redistricting. We will also have we will make a determination or vote on the commission rules. So if you don't submit your amendments prior to the meeting, I'm sure you can do it at our next meeting. So don't feel like you're compelled, but it would be, it would move the meeting along a lot better if we could do it before. And then we'll do the third agenda item will be what we're calling public outreach, and for the clerks so they can write it more specifically, it would be public, how to communicate with the public on what the commission is doing. And included in that public outreach would be our discussion on the six opportunities we have with Olelo, and maybe we can discuss when we would want to have that. And I'm not sure then if that point in time we would discuss when we would want our public hearings. We might be a little too early on that since we don't have the data, right? So, but at least we can talk about it, and then get at least some kind of outline in our head, some concept in our head, right? We'll conceptually draft it up. Am I mixing something, Rex? Is that it?
No, I think you got it all.
Okay. So that will be our agenda. Now the question is, when do we want to have our next meeting? Should we schedule the next 2 meetings now or just the 1 meeting? What would be your suggestion?
I would support.
However you would prefer, based on, just with the available dates we
Okay.
have here.
So let's just
The
do the
calendar.
next meeting then, okay? And you can see from the calendar that the next week, they have committee meetings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so we can have it then. But then the following week is open as well as into August, pretty much open. So it's all up to you. Do I hear any suggestions from the floor? Vice Chair?
Mr. Chair, I just request that if we can, I'm the chair of the Aliwan Salt Lake Foster Village Airport Neighborhood Board, and we gavel in at 7 p.m. on the second Thursday of every month. We
Okay.
can just avoid that day.
Okay, second Thursday. Okay, so we're fine with this month, right? If we go into August, that would say the 12th is out then, right? The 12th wouldn't be acceptable for you. Anybody else got those kinds of commitments that you want us to know? But for this meeting, for the purpose of the next meeting, why don't we just try to propose a date here? Since we're kind of got some momentum going, how about the first week in August? Is that okay?
Chair,
Yes,
for me, no.
okay.
It's not gonna be good.
Chair, I would support a little bit earlier than that. 2 weeks from today is the 29th.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I got a commitment
whole
for
week?
that evening, yeah.
The whole week or that evening?
No, well, no, just for that day. Well, actually, yeah, 2 days, the Wednesday and the Thursday.
Chair,
I'm open
Chair,
on-
Chair, I'm sorry, this is Alan.
Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Wednesdays are a no-go for me.
Okay. If you want to do it the following, on the last week of July, how about the Tuesday, the 27th?
It's good for me.
Okay, everybody okay with Tuesday, the 27th? Okay.
I'd be
Yeah.
joining virtually, but I'm good with that.
Are you good, Yisha? Okay. Everybody good? Okay. We do thumbs up. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's good. Okay. So all in favor of the 27th, you could just raise your hand. So at 6 o'clock here at Honolulu Holly. Alan, thank you. Okay, so we got a date. Our next meeting will be held on July 27th, 6 o'clock here at the City Council Chambers at Honolulu Holly, and the agenda has been set. Do I hear, is anything else? Vice Chair?
Motion to adjourn?
Okay, a motion to adjourn. Any seconds? Oh, we got a second, okay. So thank you very much. Meeting is over. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much. Good job, commissioners.